now maybe moving on to kind of value selling. So what are some of your thoughts there?
So I think this is the core of everything. It doesn't get talked about enough, or if it does, it's very esoteric. My deal is, how do I really make that actionable? Okay. So bear with me. This is usually about I was an old journalist, so this is usually a 6-minute soliloquy. I'll break it into pieces and try to make sure that it's bearable. But here's where I come at with value selling. Okay. At the end of the day, you have to have all of your business units across go-to-market integrated and integral with each other. Okay. So I started a little earlier. Product has to be so good at understanding what the platform can do that we can extract what that value is, not just the features, not the speeds and feeds of the old days or whatever that is. Okay. And if product does that well, and they're bi-directional and are able to get feedback from our customers, especially at a smaller stage company, we can build the platform out well. Then you move over to marketing. Okay. Marketing must understand that value from product so we know our ICP and our personas. Otherwise, you're fishing in the wrong place and you're not using the right bait for the right fish. Yeah? So that's critical on the marketing side. Then as you go farther down on that side of things, if you have good competitive intelligence from product and product marketing can articulate that, you can use really cool tools like Gong, or in my case, I just switched to Wingman, which is a competitor of Gong that got bought by Clearly. And you can build out battle cards. Okay. And those battle cards can help you when you're doing what you need to do to compete and build out playbooks. Without enablement and without solid playbooks, you're screwed, right? You could throw a bunch of salespeople at it, but it's going to be manic. So building out the right playbook, which leads to, if you can't teach your own people how to fish, how do you teach a channel? So that lets you build out your channel. Then you go over to sales. If you get into sales, being transparent, inspecting what you inspect, we actually integrate the value selling and medic into our Salesforce and Clary. So what's your, every conversation, and it's one thing to have those fields, but every conversation that we have, they're frontline managers, second line managers, CRO, me, we are speaking the same language of, do you understand what the current situation is, the pain? How do they measure that? What's the future state? What is it that they're looking for, and how does that apply to their business? How do we do it? How do we do it better? Who have we done it before? We run those conversations all the time. And around that, did we meet the economic buyer? Do we have a champion? Do we understand the decision process? All of those things are built in. And then you keep going over. If you get to finance, I work Randy, I think we've got a meeting coming up. Comp plans need to be tailored to your business. I think where companies screw up is, as soon as they see a little slowdown in the economy or the business, they up new logo, and they forget, someone's point, what about keeping your customers happy in SaaS? Because you need that upsell and cross-sell. The biggest mistake I see is finance being in a vacuum, thinking that they need to grow your new logo when you really got to have a comprehensive plan across every function to get go-to-market. And then last but not least, it goes all the way over to HR. We are a hero brand. If you want to talk about our brand, we're a disruptor. Okay. We can't hire somebody, Randy, let's say we couldn't hire somebody that does global accounts at HP that has one account that they've worked on for 10 years and that's their thing. We need hungry people that'll kick open doors at every level of the organization, not just sales. And once you kind of understand all of that, the value that we bring, that comes out in our messaging, it comes out in our brand, it comes out in our swag, it comes out when we're on doing events. And that's kind of how we incorporate that into our business. That was 4 minutes. I did a little better than usual. So there you go.
There you go. Yeah. So on the back on the value selling side, so like for me, I usually will say, okay, if you're in the elevator and you have 20 seconds and the CFO is there, they're a customer, what are you going to say that you do? Or a deal that you're trying to get done, what are you going to say that you're going to do? And it's got to be all around things that a CFO cares about. It's not the technical speeds and feeds. Maybe there's some compliance issues, but it's how you're going to help generate revenue, how you're going to help them save money, how you're going to help them get a competitive advantage. And to me, from a value selling perspective, that's usually what nails it. So maybe if I put you on the spot, I'm the CFO, what are you going to say about Coralogix?
I mean, in our case, it's really pretty simple, right? And we've been I think what's more important than what I'm going to say to you is that I know that there are multiple messages based on personas, right? Like to your point, to a CFO versus maybe someone that's hands on keyboard. That's number one. Number two, we're always checking our messaging, listening to it on Wingman, listening to it in practice sessions, and A/B testing what message works, each time. So, I mean, in our case, it's a very simple message. Like I said, I try to keep things simple. It's that we're a better mousetrap. We're faster, better, and half the price of anybody in the business. And we scale and help you grow your business, because data grows faster than revenue. Let's bring that curve down. And we do it in a way that makes it kind of seamless to migrate over to us. It's that simple, and that we work the way that they do. They can use this, more people use it, the business gets integrated. And we've got some of the best names in the business, including, some of the names I can't mention, but we have the largest customer in the entire world that we want a POC with, so we're doing 15 petabytes a day with a customer. Now think about that. That's like 300 gigabytes a second that is running through this pipeline that we've created. That's insane. So quick customer reference, quick value to a CFO. They care about the money. That's the pitch to the CFO, and it's less complex, and it's not going to disrupt the business.
Oh, that's great. Now, previously you also touched on the importance of compensation plans. Some would call it, sales performance management. So I assume you're a firm believer on comp plans drive behavior, and they have to be simple.
My daughters, so my oldest daughter lives in Australia for a long time. She's in tech, not in sales. And my youngest daughter's in commercial real estate. They will tell me right now, if I just said compensation, their answer would be drives behavior. I've been compensating my daughters since they were this big. They were very competitive in sports. So I absolutely believe that compensation drives all behavior. I'd like to think that we're in this, to better the world, which there is altruism involved. But I tell my team all the time, we're not curing cancer, solving world hunger, but making sure your compensation, like I said earlier, is aligned with where you want to go as a company. Okay, making sure that in the world of SaaS, let's say, that we really care about our customers, and that there's enough compensation across the stack that we have our best talent working on our existing customers because they're so hard to get. We've been really fortunate, and this is a little commercial for us. Our net retention here, included just upsell of one product, because now that we have three, is absolutely best in class. We got up to 150%. I think the only company that's done it at our scale is Snowflake. I think Datadog got to the 120s. So we've had less than 1% churn. So that's one. Two, incentivizing the right things. We make it fun. We pay well. I don't pay considerably over market for the initial OTE. I hate that. It's a personal thing for me. I want someone who's hungry to work here. We make sure that the quotas are great, that the territories are great. And then as soon as you get over your quota, we absolutely crush it with accelerators. I've got 4 or 5 reps that closed out their quota in Q1, okay, which is good or bad, depending on how you look at it. And they're making 25% commissions now on new business.
Great.
Oh, by the way, Randy, last bit on that. We also make sure, what are you commissioning on? We call upsells and cross-sells new business, because I want to continue to expand on our customers. So it's picking the right things and making sure you're aligned as a company at a leadership level, not just a sales leader or a marketing leader. It has to be at the highest level of the company to be compensating the right activities,
Yep, totally. And in terms of tools that help, probably better not to say, we have a call after this about that, but you're looking at saying, okay, from a tool base, how can you find, kind of, for lack of better words, a commission platform that can be flexible, people know what's going on, they can check it, it's easy, things like that. So being able to have a good kind of automated system and tracking system, so sales teams, reps aren't worried about, hey, how or where, when am I going to get paid? It's just all right there, right?
Yeah, it's funny. I think in our past, we've been not able to affect everything, even at your level. It was really difficult in some of my jobs and for some of my people to understand how the hell they were getting paid, and it would take months. Do you remember? I mean, it was, after we would send out commissions, you'd have to deal with the reconciliation for like 3-4 weeks, right? So I having an ability to have a clear comp plan, that's one thing. having an ability to have to show what you got paid on and why. That goes all the way back to Salesforce. That goes all the way back to having something like an Exactly or whatever it is. We're just looking to implement that now. Where it becomes really complicated for me is we have multiple products now. We have spiffs going on all the time to spiff that behavior. We've got accelerators. We've got quarterly plans, monthly plans, and we just want to make sure it gets to be really onerous on sales apps unless you have a platform.
Yeah.
So we're just starting that now.
Yeah, I remember several meetings when I was at HP. Dave Donatelli, we both know and I work for. So we go through, the team, finance ops would, go through all this fancy stuff, and we had, up the wazoo comp plans. So I try and shorten them down, make them simpler. So I would go through and I'd say, okay, Dave, so you realize then this global account manager is not going to go sell storage because they're not going to get paid on. You're just like, the different thing, like, these people are like, you're just such a rubber stamp. I'm like, all right, but you got to figure out what's the behavior you want. You want to have them sell, get paid on whatever it is that you want to have them sell. So we've seen those movies.
It's not that deep, but where I think things get complicated is when you get finance involved too deeply, and you had to read through your comp plan and understanding how you get paid and point percentage this and that. Just too much. It's too much.
Yeah, you can't keep track of it.
No.
And then speaking of tools on the value selling side, are there any everything that you just talked about? Is that just kind of the Matt Handler method, or do you actually use any platforms or tools there to help facilitate that?
I think command of the message is probably the best out there. Those are old PTC guys, I think, as well. I've done it for so long and lived it for so long that I don't really use them too much anymore. What I will use companies like that, I think I forget Jack Napoli's company that does the medic, what they call it. I'll think about it in a minute. But we use them a lot of times in kickoffs for training to help people really understand the medic and value selling side. And then I'll run an exercise. Now, I didn't do this here because we started kind of from scratch, but if I come into an organization and I'm trying to accelerate it and do a little tweaking, I'll bring in somebody like the command of the message folks. We'll do a good way of looking at a seminar and a 2-day workshop of what is our messaging today? What is, are we getting the value out of it? Do we have a good elevator pitch? Those kinds of companies are great, I think, when you have an existing sales force and you want to do better and accelerate, So in this case, I just used what I know.
Gotcha. Great. So time flies here when you're having fun. Colette, I didn't mention before, she says marketing collateral given at events really helps to spread your brand exponentially. Totally agree, Colette. So maybe for a last question here, any PG Randy stories?
I think it goes back to inspect what you expect. My first global leadership QBR, it was you and Donatelli, I believe it was. I think it was in Barcelona. I had, it was my first time meeting you, and everyone said, you got to be ready for Randy. Randy is going to drill into your business. He knows everything that's going on. And I was like, okay. And before I went, somebody had gone that did not know their business. And, I know you well now. You weren't anything other than honest. And it was open inspection, but it taught me a lot because this person almost cried. They just didn't know what they didn't know. And you can't know you have to know your business. Yeah. And so, I was furiously going over all my stuff and trying to be ready. But I think my key learning from that was, if you know your business, somebody like Randy, when you get into a QBR, you gave me amazing advice on like, hey, why don't you look at this? Why don't you look at that? And it gets back to having, when you're comfortable that I know what I'm doing, or that your reps know what they're doing, or that your leaders know what they're doing, and you can speak a language about value selling, just to bring this all back home, hey, Matt, do you understand this? What about this? How can I help you with that? It changes the conversation from just inspection to helping them close deals. And that's my, I have others that aren't PG, but I'll leave it at that. Yeah.
All right. Thanks. I appreciate it. Yeah. Always with, QBRs, it would always amaze. I know people would spend way too much preparing QBRs for me. I would hate it, but would always say, look, you shouldn't be preparing. You should know your business. Right. And then the value of doing the QBR isn't as much of what I get out of it, but who's ever presenting or putting it together should get a lot out of it. And if you're not, that just defeats the purpose, which I think totally, you see a lot. And I've got this, I might be old school, and I'm just making a note right now. Because I have this, Tucker and I have a backlog, I think 30 or 40 things, but once a week I do this. I might be old school, but it just all this stuff that you just see and hear these days, just is just crazy. Anyway, so thanks for the compliment. And you certainly were.
I need a favor. If anybody is actually listening out there, we are hiring. I saw a question about
introducing. From LinkedIn says, great messaging around comps, spot on, Matt Handler. And Medic and Force Bravo would love to introduce you someone spectacular for your team. So definitely you can feel free to message him. You can message me. I'll forward it to him, whatever you want. But great way to do a final. So what roles are you hiring for?
We just hired 2 heads of the East and the West in the States, but we are hiring AEs, SEs. We need them. We've grown smartly. It's a great comp plan, as we talked about. And we're hiring in England, France, Germany, and the Nordics. So that's kind of our world right now. We're pretty set everywhere else. Wait. Singapore.
There you go. Awesome. Yeah. All right. Well, Tucker, thanks for your help behind the scenes. Matt, you've been fantastic. Really appreciate it. Because my voice is down here. So anyway, everybody have a great rest of week. Thank you to Sendoso for sponsoring it. Some great snippets here around that. Great input around value selling, around lead gen, a lot of different other sales best practices. And a reminder, if you're not a member of Sales Community, you can join for free. Just go to salescommunity.com. It says some are free. And you'll be able to check out Sendoso and some other of our great sponsors there as well. So Matt, take care. Have a great rest of the week, and definitely look forward to seeing you Friday. Okay. And don't hang up, because Tucker shuts it down, and then we do a little recap.
Okay, no problem. Sounds great.
All right, thanks, everybody.